Step 4 to successful unlearning and therefore successful change is probably the most exciting for you, as long as you followed steps 1 through 3. As long as you have embraced the analysis of the previous ways of doing things, then step 4, which is all about embracing the new learning, embracing new skills, and embracing new ways of doing things. Step 4 is going to be the step that you really, really crave and that you really look forward to. Because this involves not only acquiring new knowledge and new skills and new behaviors, but this also involves integrating new knowledge and new skills and behaviors into your day-to-day work environment. So in this particular step, what we are doing is we're employing various strategies for continuous learning. We're employing strategies for balancing that unlearning with learning new. One thing that I would say to you, I mean, we talk about personal development, but we also talk about workplace enrichment, and we talk about, organizational enrichment, and also process improvement. So process and practice improvement in terms of efficiency and effectiveness. And one thing that I will say to you is that this has to be continual. And by that, I mean this has to be iterative, and this has to be step by step. One step at a time. You cannot do this all in one go. You cannot learn everything all at the same time. I've seen a lot of organizations fail in this particular step, and yet this is probably, as I said, the most exciting step and the step that everybody feels enthusiastic about. But I've seen organizations fail when they try to do too much all in one go. There's a saying, we use this in Agile, but we use this quite a lot, and this is how do you eat an elephant? You eat an elephant one bite at a time, and I know that a few of you are grinning right now because you've heard this before. Okay, we do it one step at a time, one bite at a time. You cannot do it all at once. And I have seen failures where organizations have put their teams on one training course 1 week, and then another training course the next week, and then another training course the week after that. And what you're doing is you're bombarding people with too much information, and you're expecting way too much of them because you are not giving them opportunity to embed their skills and to use their skills and to get used to their new skills before you move on to another new skill. I can only learn so many things all in one go. And I speak as somebody who teaches, and as a trainer, I speak as somebody who has to impart that knowledge. There comes a point in every single training course. I'm not going to hide this from you. There comes a point in every single training course when I look around the room, or maybe it's an online training course, and I see your face and I see you drift off. I do. I see your eyes begin to glaze. I see you drift. I see you start thinking about something else. And you know why? Because there's only so much that you can absorb. If you're ever on a training class with me, you will hear me ask you on a frequent basis whether your brain's full. What do I mean by that? I mean exactly that. Is your brain full? Have you reached that saturation point of new skills? You do. There is a saturation point, and for everybody it's different as well. One technique that I employ, and I urge all of my any instructors that I have had the privilege of training, I urge them all to do exactly the same, and that is really simple. Take a break every hour. Around about the hour mark, take a break. It only needs to be 5 minutes, but take a break. And I will implore you to do exactly the same when you're studying as well. Take a break every hour. If you are sat in front of a screen for longer than an hour, if you are sat with your head in a book for longer than an hour, then pretty much anything after that 1 hour mark, you're probably not absorbing. You might just be reading through it just because you feel that you have to, but you are not absorbing. So embracing new learning is not just about going on a course. It's not just about passing an exam. It's about being able to apply what you know. You see, if you go on a course and you learn something new, and then you come back to your office and you're there for, I don't know, 2 days, and then you go and learn something new, and then you come back and then you go off again and you learn something new, what happens is that there is a huge big gap between expectation and between the reality in terms of your performance as an individual. Because leadership are expecting, because they've given you all of these training courses, and they've given you all of this opportunity to get new accreditation, they're expecting so much from you in terms of performance. But the reality is that you haven't retained half of what you studied, half of what you've learned. And so your ability to apply those new skills is severely diminished. So I will always recommend, when it comes to change, embracing new learning. Doesn't matter how enthusiastic somebody is, it has to be done one step at a time. And there has to be a personal plan that is developed for every individual needs. Now, I know that sounds really sort of, that's a utopian concept, isn't it? It sounds really idealistic. We can't do that for every single individual, but you can to a certain extent. When you consider that for most people within the organization, they will have to have somebody cover for them if they are out for any period of time whilst they're learning. So there's nothing wrong with creating a rota for those people that are going out on training courses to stagger their training. It's a personal plan. And it really needs to be designed to suit the organization's needs, but also, more importantly, the individual's needs as well. And there are various ways to embrace this continuous learning. Think about online. Think about gamification. Think about the use of AI. Think about in-classroom training. Think about on-demand training, such as these videos, for example. There are various ways to learn a new skill. You don't have to stick with the traditional. But one thing that I do have to say to you is that if you try and do it all in one go, if you try and get too many accreditations all in one go, then they're not going to be as valuable to you or as valuable to the organization as ensuring that your learning is staggered and that you have time to embed those skills and to utilize those skills. So my request of you during step 4, when we talk about embracing learning, is just to remember that we have to do this on an iterative basis in order for it to be successful. And in order for what you've learned, your new skills, to replace your old, again, it has to be iterative. Because if you don't adopt an iterative approach, then what will happen is that the old way of doing things, the way that because it's habit, because it's autopilot, that's going to come to the fore again. Quite simply because your brain is just going to be bombarded and your teams are going to be full with new knowledge and are not going to know how to apply it because there's no structured way to apply it. So, how do we eat an elephant? One bite at a time.